overall, let's see. Chaos Knight banned out. They're taking a lot of their time fighting pandas for this last ban of the second stage. You know, what will they ban out? They ban out the Invoker. All right.
They did that last game. They did that last game too. I noticed that. So some respect there for sure.
Definitely some respect bans happening. Legion Commander, by the way, definitely does give us some more insight in this lineup and what it's all about. Legion Commander will be played by Moon Meander on that offlane, while Lash and Ogre still can be your support. Ogre is definitely going to be your support, but Lash can be 4, can be mid. We'll see what they decide to roll him as, but Legion Commander, while really like this hero, it's your utility offlaner, which also brings you save. So you have that press the attack, you have overwhelming odds, and you can also build into a pipe. It's no longer about those dual victories, right? Like we've seen that era just come to an end, as Legion Commander is more oriented in controlling and bringing utility plus that one save. So it's a very versatile hero, which is also difficult to deal with on the lane, but they will try to do that with the gyro. So most likely we'll see some gyro plus Rubik on that safe lane. Not really the most threatening lane for something like Legion +1, but that's what they opt to go for. And I think it's very important for EHome to have a more stable offlane this time around. If you remember in that last game, Envy, even though he didn't really have a lot of farm coming from that laning stage, he did crush Shaker and Lina quite heavily. Like he got a couple of double kills there in the laning stage, and he was doing really well.
Death Prophet for fighting PandaS. Okay, so again, getting more information on the lineup of FP. Certainly to be a Leshrac Ogre supporting duo with the Death Prophet pick right there.
Yeah, you have this Death Prophet that's able basically your tempo control, objective taking, strategical oriented hero, and you will pick something different for Envy this time around. Most likely some hard carry for him, which can scale really well versus Gyrocopter. When you're playing with that Prophet, you can also go all in. You have Lesh, you have that Prophet, you can definitely go and just try to take all their objectives away early on with another tempo, with another very like mid-game oriented carry. But you don't have to do that. It puts you on a timer, and I believe fighting pandas will go for something more greedier for Envy. And now it's on EHome to respond to this Death Prophet. There aren't way too many heroes that deal with her really well. I think a hero that would be perhaps decent is Pugna for them on that mid lane. But they'll go with the TA, all right? They take the TA themselves this time around.
Looks familiar over there. The TA Gyrocopter duo core, so that's what fighting PandaS had last game. EHome says it worked pretty well for you. We'll run it ourselves. Doesn't necessarily work that way all the time, but yeah, TA to match up against Death Prophet, not too shabby there.
They're like, we got your number, fighting pandas. We're just gonna take your 2 cores and make them work against you. Sometimes that doesn't really work. That's not, like you just said, sometimes it doesn't really work out. You steal the cores, but you don't play around them as well as the enemy team, and then you're just like, all right, what do we do with these heroes? They look broken, but in our hands, yeah, they're broken. They don't do anything. It's like, we'll see.
I know a hero that's maybe not the most popular, but one that Eternal Envy tends to play a little bit more than others is that Lycan. And I know that would be more all-in-ish compared to what you're thinking, more of the greedier farm-heavy core, but is there a world where you can see Lycan here? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't be that bad. I think Lycan in this game. You do have the gyro, but it doesn't really matter too much. Lycan would be decent. It depends on EHome's last pick, obviously, as well, to see what their laning stage is going to be like. Yeah, I even with the Lich, I think, yeah, Envy and that Lycan, it's a possible hero. It's a possibility for them. Lycan is also one of those heroes that isn't really picked super often, but definitely can be picked in a game such as this one. Together with the Dead Prophet and Lash, you would be so strong when it comes to objective taking. By the way, this will be the tiny offlane, so we'll see some tiny Rubik offlane, Lich Gyro safe lane, and Huskar that was banned in that last match will be picked up right now.
Well, you know, funny enough, he was banned because they were picking TA.
TA, exactly. Now I'm wondering, can they put that Prophet on the side lane? Like, it's definitely not a side lane hero. There are some teams that put that profit on off lane or even safe lane, you know, if a game is right. But yeah, Braille is playing Huskar, so this just might be Envy's side lane dead profit. I mean, we'll see how well that goes for them, because they countered TA, but at the same time they put themselves in a really awkward position. Like, you have that profit on the most likely that profit on the side lane, you have that profit plus Huskar duo cores, Envy is playing that profit. Like, there's a bunch of problems that you created for yourself just by counterpicking this TA. But I believe Huskar is definitely a hero that can scale really well and also can carry you the game if he has a really decent game. And in this particular match, he also has save from Moon Meander, he has buff from Ogre Magi, he has space that Envy should be able to create for him with that profit. So Brawl should do fine. We'll see.
Yeah, it's one of those, you just like the lane matchup so much that you're willing to do something a little bit out of the ordinary elsewhere, and that's going to be the key now for fighting PandaS. And man, is there a world where you see EHome saying we do not like that matchup at all, which is understandable, like Huskar against TA, where they send TA to a side lane themselves and send Gyrocopter like?
I don't think so. I don't think that happens. Like, if you send TA, I mean, you know, it's Dota. Anything can happen. It's possible. Like, it is possible. Like, anything can happen. But TA is one of those heroes that wants mid not only because of the lane itself, but because of the proximity of all the jungle camps. Like, you can just go in the jungle. You just need a couple of levels, and then you go to the jungle and you recover. It's not like you have to be super crushed by Huskar if you're TA. And yeah, it seems like he will be going mid. You have those two tangles shared to him. So 897 straight to mid versus Huskar. Good luck, have fun.
Here we go. 897 again had that clean scheme last game. Wasn't really set up to be the best, and this time around, it's, well, talk about not being set up to be the best. It's an unfortunate matchup, but solid player certainly. We'll see how he does against Bryle's Huskar. But sure enough, Eternal Envy headed towards the top lane and going to be up there with a couple other players currently. Of course, the idea of we'll probably see them come up here for the runes and then eventually spread out. Faith Beyond Tiny.
You can see that they're just trying to pretty much secure two runes on both sides, right? On one side, we have a tri-lane around Moon Meander. On the other side, we have a tri-lane around the Tiny. Soon they will most likely invade this Radiant Bounty rune to shove off Fate Beyond from it. As the only one thing that they're doing really well on the side of EHome is Rubik Zincu, he's hidden. He remained hidden. And because of that, they didn't really go for this. Nah, never mind. They're gonna take two bounty runes. Two bounty runes top, two bounty runes bottom. Yeah, fair trade.
And that'll be that.
Yeah, now Rubik goes top, and we have two dual lanes. Nothing really extraordinary here.
So Faith Beyond playing, potentially another playmaking off lane. The idea of getting in there. Of course, an eventual blink certainly on the market for Faith Beyond as far as a potential line to pick up. Look at Owie, meanwhile, and that and Eternal Envy both standing their ground. They say you do not want to block the creeps. We're going to fight you for it. Zone them out all the way back to the tower. So quite the clash early. No kills, but forcing regen at least.
Yeah. Aoi, he has that stout shield to work with, plus 8 armor. Definitely very simple for him to just stand his ground and shove them off. It's not something that I've seen done recently, though, and I like that a lot from Envy and Aoi. Like, the move that they just did there, they just blocked them away from the creep wave, and yeah, it was pretty decent considering that they have more armor, more sustain. It was quite effective.
Just glanced over at that mid lane matchup real quickly, and just the refraction just goes off instantly. It is not going to be fun.
Yeah, he's already in the jungle. Well, I said proximity of the jungle is nice, but I swear I didn't think about this. Like, minute 1 jungling, that does not feel great.
No.
I think it's one of the reasons is the block. Like his block wasn't perfect on TA, and when you're playing a bad matchup and your block is bad, like you just go to the jungle and you get these little mud golems, which basically is like what 2 and 4. That's like he got like 6 CS, and suddenly on the CS charts he looks great, you know. But in reality, he's not really feeling that well.
Yeah. A quick glance at the net worth, and you see, okay, yeah, it's really not that great, but net worth certainly more important stat there to look at. Talk about how they're farming. But again, TA making the best of a bad situation, so it will be 100% free farm, though, for Bryle on the other side. And then the question comes, you know, what is he able to do with that free farm here on Huskar? You're going to see that early armlet coming out. Obviously,
Yeah.
a
Couple of
item.
bracers, most likely, right? Like 3 bracers to armlet, and this beast just running across the map, doing whatever he wants. Like, Huskar is one of those heroes. I really think he's very similar to Enchantress, right? Like, he gets tanky and you can't kill him, and he just dives everything. The only question is if he going to dive too hard. If he dives too hard and you counter him a couple of times, you kill him a couple of times, suddenly you don't really feel as hot on fighting pandas, right?
Sure.
You're playing versus TA versus Gyro. You're not on a timer per se, but you mustn't make too many mistakes. I think this game should be much easier to execute for EHome, even though their laning stage might be a little bit awkward and very difficult, in a way.
Well, again, there are other lanes, so glancing over, see how things are going there. We got Gyrocopter currently 15-3 down here, but Moongander's not stopping his farm. He's 14-1, so certainly doing good as well. Top lane, similar battle, as Tiny's actually slightly ahead of the Death Prophet, but a very back and forth. So really, Templar Assassin is the only hero that's kind of not getting much from her own lane. Of course, she's in the jungle as a result. But yeah, overall, all the cores are actually doing okay / pretty well.
The only problem for EHome right now is, even though TA is farming the jungle, he has to go back to defend the tower, right? Because Brawl has already started pressuring it. However, when you do a thing such as this one, you're pretty much allowing 897 to come to the lane and farm a little bit, because you are pushing the lane, right? So you won't be able to dive him under the tower, and you'll give him a couple of last hits. So when you're crushing the lane this hard, you're always asking yourself, should I push or should I just keep the creep equilibrium on my side of the map and farm away?
Well, Leshrak picked up that double damager and was spotted by a ward doing so and running this direction, so 897 is not going to give him any chance. He'll go into his own jungle over here. 30 seconds until the rune spawn, as well as the shrine. Top lane watching that. Owie thrown in the air even. Not going to be enough to save from Death Prophet, as Ogre does go down for the first blood. So EHome, they strike first in terms of the kills. Up 1-0.
Yeah, 5 minutes in, Lash rotated mid. He had that double damage. Also 1 edict. Now he's going to use most likely another. And this tier 1 might fall 5 minutes in. So, yeah, fighting pandas again, striking really fast to take down these objectives.
Oh, man. Templar. Okay, Tiny is going to pick it out. I was going to say Tiny. I didn't see Tiny there initially, but Templar was farming near the bounty rune that was sitting there. But EHome does get 3 of the bounty runes at least. So, again, good news for them. But you talk about fighting pandas already with the middle tower. They're going to now take over the Radiant jungle and force Templar Assassin to go elsewhere. Well, Bryle is getting that start that the Fighting Pandas hoped for, but it goes back to now how do you play with it. Now, he does have nice protection in LC with that pressing attack. Also has even the Bloodlust, of course, from Ogre to really help that damage. And speaking of Ogre, they run right into Rubik. He's going to zap them, roll around Leshrak, in fact, help from Tiny, and that's going to be a turn kill. Snake King, he goes down instead.
That's a pretty good kill. They rotated well, and the 3 of them are able to take down Snake King. Snake King, who was so strong in that last game on his Mirana, he was just making happen across the map all the time. He already falls once here, which is really perfect for him, but it doesn't really matter too much. I think what's really important for them is to play around Bryle right now, as he's the one that wants to be up ahead, in their face, just pressuring them all the time.
Here, Brile, he is getting a low. Speaking of that, has his life break, but he's just worrying about surviving right now. Ogre Bloodlust him helping to run, not going to be enough. Owie also goes down, and that's what you're talking about. You can have some great farm in the laning phase, but if you throw yourselves at them and die, it ain't going to do too much for you. So that's one death now on Brile. We'll see how it continues.
Yeah, I think this was massive, massive for EHome to get that kill. BT faded, has to be careful down here though. Yeah, Aoi was rotating in, but just isn't fast enough to get behind him and use the stun. But overall, when you're a Huskar, you definitely don't want to be feeding this early on. Like, this hero is a lane crusher into snowballer. That's pretty much what you do as a Huskar. And if you feed a couple of kills like this, they don't only give map control back to your enemies, they just slow down your farm so much. Like, they have to be careful about the way they play. And next time Brawl is about to do that aggressive movement, he better make sure he has that armlet and Legion Commander behind him.
Yeah.
Because I said it earlier, you can't make these mistakes if you're fighting PandaS. Your lineup isn't perfect when it comes to making a comeback.
Owie, he's going to be Vision, Mobile Ward, you can call it, for Eternal Envy right now, who's actually going to pop his Exorcism and push the tower. Moon Meander nearby with the duel ready to go. Might come into play right here, going right for Lich. Beelining, not going for the duel though. Turning around, but gets Gaze right back in. The Conan on play. Exorcism helping things out with some damage, but down goes LC, and now that's like Eternal Envy is in trouble, in fact. He gets the one kill on Lich, but certainly not worth it. A 1-for-3 trade favoring EHome, and the tower still good chunk of life actually remaining on it.
Yeah, pretty good. Even though they did take down that tier 1 on the mid lane, which is massive for fighting PandaS, now they failed to take a tower that's usually much easier to take, and that's this Radiant tier 1 on the safe lane. Plus they used Exorcism, plus they committed so many heroes and all of them died. Definitely not the greatest move by fighting PandaS. I believe they should be playing around this Huskar as soon as he gets his armlet, and they should wait for that. They shouldn't really press the matter that hard. They are on a timer, that's definitely true, that's definitely the case, but you still have to wait for your item.
Yeah.
However, Brile,
oh no,
they are going after him.
If he gets a TP and life break, yeah, you gotta fight this at this point. He's not even gonna get the chance though. Just gets bursted down by Tiny, and Ogre
mid lane
can't make a play himself. Mid lane wide does fall, snaking, able to turn there onto Lich at least.
Snaking as the Lich, but you know what? Like, if you're a Lich, you don't really care that much. It's all about this Huskar and slowing him down. It's not even about Envy and his dead prophet. If you kill him when he's pushing, it's fine, it's good for you. But you want to get these Huskar kills, and so far they're managing to do just that. And him not having armlet this late in the game, and him dying twice already, and the fact that TA is actually ahead of him by around 200 gold, that's massive for EHome. I believe they're playing this game much better strategically than that first one. Yeah. Even though they lose that tier 1, they make that sacrifice, they lose the tier 1, they respond to the aggressive play done by fighting PandaS quite well. And it's something I see done so often versus Huskars. They get overly aggressive, they get punished, and suddenly the game is out of their control.
Well, on paper, a strength of a Death Prophet, of course, is the fact that you can push towers. And we saw earlier they tried at the bottom lane, ended up dying as a big fight broke out. The bottom tower is being pressured by Leshrac now, who certainly is also good at that. And it looks like it could potentially be a free tower kill as no one's defending on the side of EHome. So they are just going to give up, realizing what they're up against. It's not worth the risk to defend this time around.
There's an Invis Tiny though, and he's on a hunt. Brile, I believe he's on to him, so he moves back. There was a ward scouting that out. Brile now has that armlet as well to work with, so perhaps you can start rotating together with your team. But it feels like they might be already a little bit too late. Moon?
He's trying to run. He's got that press the attack. He's going to overwhelming odds, get the speed boost. However, the Gaze says, I don't care if you can run. Maybe Gaze back
so
in,
tanky.
but he is so tanky, and with the press the attack, is able to run for now, but no. Hawaii snipes him out on that with the stolen overwhelming odds. Aoi also goes down in the mid lane to Templar Assassin.
Yeah, he gets him solo there. I believe Moon could have lived in that situation there if he just ran right to the tier 2, but instead he plays with them a little bit. He tries to be a little bit cheeky and he falls in the end. Aoi, on the other hand, he wasn't trying to be cheeky. He was just trying to get a couple of kills, on a couple of CS, and perhaps plant some wards, but TA punishes him. Overall, like you can see that fighting pandas, man, they're struggling at the moment. They're definitely not out of the game. They haven't really, they didn't really show their strength just yet. Like they still have this lineup that can definitely fight well together, but uh, so far EHome has been on point when it comes to preventing that.
Yeah, I think a big factor has certainly been this Tiny as well. We mentioned last game, Faith Beyond just did not have that great of an Earthshake game. He tried to go for the early Yags. He got slowing down, and his impact was clearly very minimal. This time around, much different story. He's 2-0-5 on this Tiny. We saw the Invis rune earlier and ultimately lead into the gank on Bryle. He has been moving on Tiny and doing a lot of work. Meanwhile, he is going to find Ogre, trying to go for the rune that wasn't there at that point as that empty bottle, so hopeful. But not the case. But 1,300 gold saved up, so that Blink Dagger, it's coming. Give it another 2 or 3 minutes and he'll have it.
It's definitely coming, and there's no BKB yet in sight for Huskar. He's actually going for the Halberd next, which is a good pickup, but he has to be super careful, as if he's low and this Tiny sees him, blinks on him, he can just solo him every single time. This Huskar isn't what he used to be. His passive isn't the same, and you can fall very quickly to that amount of burst that Tiny brings.
Rubik gonna charge in. Still has that overwhelming odds stolen, level 4, so he can actually clear things like crazy between that and the Fade Bolt.
I have to say, very interesting build by XinQ. Like, he's going for an Atos on that Rubik. So, overwhelming odds, Fade Bolt, and an Atos. Very interesting. Like, the idea behind the Atos is, I guess, that they lack catch, but that's usually why you buy it. But I guess to tank up as well versus LC, it's pretty decent. And when it comes to catch, perhaps they lack it right now, but they won't lack it very soon. Once there's a blink on TA and Tiny, you will be able to get on top of them very easily. So, interesting. I would much rather see a Vessel on them. I think Vessel is super important, and no one is buying it right now.
Yeah, a Vessel against Huskar, of course, is very, very good pickup.
Versus Huskar, versus that Prophet, right, as well.
Yeah.
They do have a lot of clans, a lot of Dispel, right, but still Vessel is, I believe, pretty legit in the current game.
Mentioned the Heaven's Albert for Huskar, so it is kind of funny, you know, before the Armlet, he was trying for a couple plays, didn't work out. Now he's got the Armlet for a while, he's got Phase Boots, he's working on the Heaven's Albert, is just simply focusing on that farm game, so slightly change of game plan, it feels like, from the Fighting Pandas that they had early on.
Yeah, complete. I think they fell in a trap of trying to counter this TA a bit too hard, and I still think Huskar is a decent hero in this game. I believe they can win with it. It's just not really the optimal scenario for them. The optimal scenario would have been they play around this Huskar, he never really dives too much, and he never dies, right? But yeah, mistakes have been made, and Envy, he falls right there.
Eternal Envy dying, unfortunately. So, of course, the 50-minute Bounty Rune spawning was trying to make a play for that. Quickly got jumped, showing off that blink, though, on Tiny. So, Faith Beyond continues his momentum, now 2-0-6 on this off-lane Tiny. Yeah, just how about Templar Assassin, though? The idea of you're supposed to lock her down in the lane, and here we are 50 minutes into the game. She is top farm pretty comfortably. She's got the Desolator. Blink's being delivered. She's got the combo at a very solid timing, honestly.
Yeah, they stopped him from laning, but they didn't stop him from just going to the jungle and clearing creeps there from minute 1. Oh, Blink on Moon.
Yeah, he is going to get comboed, but not enough follow-up. They are beyond the tower, now TP in as well from Snake King. Bryle running in, but unable to find the opportunity for a life break.
Yeah, I actually love the fact that Fate Beyond there, he blinks in, but he doesn't toss Moon back. Like, at first it looked like a mistake. I'm like, why are you blinking in, Avalanche tossing him in spot? Why aren't you tossing Moon back? But the fact is, if he tossed him back, they don't have the burst damage to take him down, and then he would just duel one of his teammates, which would give enough time for fighting pandas to get there and perhaps get a few pickoffs and not only one. So pretty well thought out by Tiny, by Fabian.
This is a little awkward here. Snaking just TP'd out as they're pushing in this bottom, and Eternal Enemy's running, and they know she's here, though. Oh, no. Oh, boy. That sentry.
Envy is not having a good game. I don't think he's going to be playing that Prophet anytime soon after this match, because he's not able to use his ulti at all. He's level 9. He used it once for that tier 1, which he didn't even manage to take down with it. And now he's just having a rough patch. He's just running into them and dying every single time. And it looks like this game is completely in EHome's control. And as we wait for Brawl to do anything, like I feel like a kid with a stick right now poking this Huskar. Come on,
do something.
Do something, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is what it feels like. Your Huskar is 0-2-0 in this game right now. It's 17.5 minutes. If this is your pub game, you want to be raging at him, tell him to leave the game or just finish this. But obviously not the case. It is a $1 million tournament, a little bit different circumstances here.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Slightly, although some people would not believe that. It's kind of
You tend not to rage. Although in CIS scene, it's still the same thing. You don't really care. You still rage out, but yeah. We have a smoke. Oh. That's the move that we've been waiting for, perhaps.
Oh my god, but not like this! Into a 5-man avalanche. And suddenly, they're the ones running. Big overwhelming odds as well. Stolen by Rubik. Moon Meander. He's going to throw his out, but he will be caught. And he's dead, and they ping out Roshan, but they want more. Whoop, we're going back over here. Huskar going to be jumped. The inner fire pushes back. He says, I got to fight now. Life breaks in. Buyback from LC. Can she get here in time to save the day? The answer is no. Down goes Prile. He's out for 45, and EHome just wants to keep on going. Duels up, gets the kill on Lich, but it might come at a cost for Moomin, or maybe not. Templar Assassin actually will fall too, so suddenly fight back for the Fighting Pandas, but here's the BKB from VT Faded. And look at the spread, though, from the Dire squad. They did not want to fight that.
I think this buyback from Legion Commander in the end was good, because they take down the TA, and basically what that means is EHome won't be able to just rush down into that pit after taking down Huskar, as TA does have the Desolator, right? The thing is, this first Aegis, this first Roshan is super important in this game. There are some games in which that first rush can just decide the way the game is panned out from then on. If Huskar gets that Aegis, suddenly you're playing versus this hero that you can't really kill easily, and he's just diving you all the time. So you lose map control, you lose team fights if you try to take them. And same goes for EHome. I think Aegis is not really as important for them to take, but it's very important for them not to give to this Huskar.
Death Prophet certainly can start doing a little bit more as well now with the Yules, working on bots to follow, so wants to try to become more of that split push idea in the Death Prophet, which he certainly can be. I'll say this about Eternal Levy lineups in general, when it comes, whether it's Fighting Pandas here or just in the recent year or so, got the chance to cast a fair amount of his games, and it feels like his team, to be fair, he does a great job of leading his team to never give up and ultimately give themselves a chance and recover in crazy games where you may think it's going to just be over, but they keep on pursuing to eventually give themselves a shot to come back. So that's where I'm still sitting here like, you know what, this game is still open.
Yeah, never give up at anything in life. If you're Envy, never give up at feeding, as just running down them and dying somewhere, right? But also never give up at doing good plays and just keeping your chin up and just making your team play better. Man, I played a couple of times with him in pubs. Never actually. I played versus him in pro scene, but never played with him. And dude, he is very overwhelming. He's something special, you know. Like when you play with him, when you are actually experienced that drop your stick, you have to be a special kind of a person to just be fine with that, you know. Like at one point, I was like, just let me play, dude. You know, I just want to play. Just leave me alone. Like, drop your stick. Let's go rush. Stuff like that. It can be a bit too much.
You know, micromanagement is real, but obviously he's had some success there, and Attempting to find that here with this new lineup in Fighting Pandas, and getting up 1-0 in this series, but game 2, certainly a much more difficult task as of right now. Of course, they lost Leshrac, as we saw there. Transition nicely into the tower push, and yeah, this really is just funny how, not really funny, I guess, but just interesting how it's just transitioned the other way, where EHome, they're the ones that look so fluid now, whereas it was Fighting Pandas in the previous game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Fighting Pandas managed to do the same thing that they did in game 1. I would say that they're a team that just has better quality, but now they have to prove themselves because they are playing from behind and snaking.
Good for now? No, he's dead. In fact, LC might also be dead in that call down. But here we go to the side. Brow jumps in.
Good silence.
Is also dead. Making a 1-for-1. LC ended up surviving, by the way, thanks to that supporting cast coming in. Templar Assassin seen by the Sentry. Ogre Magi now gets jumped in as a result. The Avalanche is still barely alive. Press the attack comes out of ET Fade and gets jumped on by Huskar. BKB, however, keeping him alive a little bit longer, of course. Eternal Envy. He ain't living. Exorcism not wearing off in time. You see Aoi now going left. Says, all right, chase me over here. And that will be a kill on Ogre as well. So LC ends up TPing out, or just running out, I suppose.
Yeah, just ran out. Huskar TP'd bottom, but overall, a very awkward fight by Fighting Pandas. First they lose Lash. Then Envy just pops his ulti for some reason. He just pops it. I guess he expected them to be very aggressive, so he pops it as a precautionary measure, but still, it doesn't really help them. And also, Moon Meander using his spells. I believe he used his Overwhelming Gods there. Actually pressed the attack. I believe he used it on Ogre when Huskar was about to fight and Envy was already initiated on. I think you have to save that for your cores. You can't just be saving Aoi. It doesn't really matter that much. But they got the Aegis.
Yeah, they do. Aegis, of course, to Templar Assassin. 897. Be the one to pick it up, and Gyrocopter going to lead the way as they push down the mid lane, going for the tier 2 tower. Gyro's close to finishing the Yags, doesn't have it yet. But certainly on his way, has about 700 more gold before it will be completed. But that should be an easy tier 2 tower kill. Templar Assassin already coming bottom. There are players in the area, so if 897's not careful here, this could be a kill. Bryle? Is he going in?
He does have that BKB and the Aegis, so at most they'll take him down once, but that's about it. I don't think they can do a lot better than that. And yeah, Huskar just TP's out. How close is he to that BKB? He's not going for BKB actually. All right, Huskar going for Satanic next after Halberd and Armlet. I mean, you do have the save, you have the reset from Moon, so perhaps it's the best option for him not to go for the BKB. We'll see. Yeah. I think it's still a very decent hero that isn't considered a hard carry, but can definitely fill that role in certain circumstances. And in this particular game, I don't think it's the best one to do so, but you know what? That's the only thing that they have left remaining for them, so this Huskar has to fill that role.
Huskar is going to push the top lane with his teammate as their tier 2 is getting pushed, however, so not the most favorable trade, but one of those you kind of just take what you get as Ogre. He ends up being a sacrificial lamb, spotting more TPs coming. Gyrocopter gets the kill first. And with the Bounty Rune spawning, EHome's going to now infest the Dire jungle, and they find Envy.
Envy!
What was he doing here?
What the hell? Where the hell are you going?
They even have this ward here. Yeah, that seemed really odd. That direction. Oh.
Interesting. I don't know.
We'll say that. It's interesting, yes.
I would really like to have a look in that person's mind. Like just figure out how everything is ticking in there. Like,
I'll say this about the micromanaging. Like, maybe he was focusing on something else, and he just didn't simply see his own character. Like, that is possible, honestly.
It is. It happens. It definitely wouldn't be too out of the ordinary. Bottom lane Moon has been caught as well, but he blinks out in a good direction.
Cancel the TP for this. He's trying to survive. Radiant Courier goes down, by the way, with a couple of things on it. Somebody's Aether Lens, but either way, Moon Meander, he's still juking. Doesn't have press the attack anymore, though. 4 more seconds, and they will find the kill. This Rod of Atos from Xingqiu is certainly doing its work at that on top of the Arcane Supremacy, of course. So a nice catch there, and EHome, they're going to go right to the mid lane. Gyrocopter's already there. In fact, the Axe is now finished. They want to pressure tier 3.
It looks like tables have turned completely in the second game, and it's not now. It's basically on EHome to push this properly without losing any heroes. If you remember, fighting PandaS in that last game did similar but lost Centaur, but EHome, they're doing it much better, it seems.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen.
Easy Rax kill.
Dire's middle barracks has fallen.
Faded, actually not going back at all. He wants to continue pushing. They don't have any creeps remaining, but there's another creep wave coming from the mid lane. So the backdoor protection is not on. This looks like two sides. Easy game for them. 27 minutes in.
Did they just go bottom? I mean, no, they're not going to go all the way to bottom. It's a little too far. LC's up in 15 seconds.
It's about Aegis. It's still 1 minute away. So there's a full MKB completed for TA, but it's in the base. But they don't care. They're going just bottom, yeah?
Yeah, all right. They decide, all right, you're not going to stop us. We'll just keep going. Why not? Death Prophet, she's ready with Exorcism. Here we go. You got to fight this. Silence up. Immediately purged off. Press the attack stolen by Xingqiu. Gyrocopter. He's stunned up in place, but he's fine. In fact, he's turning around with a call. That Moon Meander getting very low, being slowed down heavily, especially with the Chain Frost bouncing around. Stops pretty quickly. And nobody dying. Well, never mind. Now he ends up dying over here. And they want to chase, though. Keeping into the shrine. Another silence coming in. Blink away, though, from Tiny Lich. He's going to be a sacrificial lamb of sorts. Trying to TP out. Not going to happen. Dual victory coming out in place. Tiny. He gets caught up to from the Leshrac, though. Split Earth. The Yul's up in the air. Tiny not able to blink in time, and he, too, is going to fall. So a couple of kills for Fighting Panda.
Couple of decent kills. They got the Lich and the Tiny, but they lost two sides and another additional tier 3, so they're definitely not happy with the way this whole thing panned out in the last minute or two. Losing two sides without even putting on a fight. I believe why it was like that is because Huskar didn't have his Satanic ready, so Braille was forced to farm it out, and meanwhile EHome was not giving him that space and time to do it, and they just pressed the matter and they got the two sides down. Now 897 will have his MKB delivered too.
Oh, 897 mid lane. Okay, I was seeing Eternal Envy flanking around, but a little too quick. It's going to be fine, and he mentioned the MKB's coming, so Templar Assassin that much stronger.
Bottom tower is under attack.
So this Huskar does, okay, he does have the Satanic, 1,000 gold save job, so.
Yeah, he's pretty tanky. He's doing all right. 14,000 net worth, 4 or 5k behind the TA. Very similar with the Gyro, but he can dish out the damage. They just need to play these team fights properly, but it's not really easy. They don't really have the superior team fight as well. Their catch is really limited on the side of Fighting PandaS. If you notice, there's no blink on Legion Commander. He's not even thinking about getting it. So your ways of initiating are basically these two Yules that they've got on Lesh and on Death Prophet, which isn't really perfect.
Look at the win chance there.
Oh, Courier.
5 to 5.
Courier is dead. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an expensive Courier too.
Yeah, definitely. That was an Agnes that was being flown over to that Prophet. Well, not a completed one, but two pieces of it.
Oh, it's going to be delayed that much further. Faith Beyond jumps in. Again, there's backdoor here, but it almost feels like EHome's just trying to bait them into a fight. They're not actually going for the Rax kill, but FP almost obliging right here. Bryle, is he actually going in? He's thinking about it. Back and forth. He's tempting.
They should have just pushed in middle a little bit first so that there's no backdoor protection. But, yeah, they don't care about that. They have DD.
And now it's not up. A BKB activated. Faith Beyond jumps in. Eternal Envy. Double Siphon, so he will heal up, that is, and be fine. Bryle. Their fire, those BKBs means it doesn't work. He's out for 75 seconds. He just gets bursted down. Press the attack's not going to save him. And the chase is on. The poor man's blink. GG, well played. We are going game 3. EHome takes it. Both teams doing so in dominating fashions of sorts in each of their victories.
Yeah, I mean, in that first game, Fighting PandaS, they definitely look like the stronger team. It looked like everything is going their way. But at the same time, I had to feel bad for EHome because all the moves early on that they tried to make were just like thwarted by some random Mirana standing somewhere. It's not like say snaking. He's definitely a very good player, but it's not like he predicts every single move. You know, it's just that he was in the right position in the right time, multiple times in a row in that game one, which prevented EHome from doing anything, and eventually they just lost all map control. In the second game, however, I believe the game was much more simple for them. They didn't feed with TA in the laning stage. He just was completely left alone in the jungle. And then they just waited for Brawl to make that one crucial mistake. And that's, if you remember, that tier 2, when three of them, I believe three of them died while they were trying to push the tier 2
Yeah.
and dive before Armlet was up on Huskar, before anything was up on him. I think that's pretty much where Fighting Pandas lost this game. I know it's harsh to say it was so early on, it was pretty much minute 12 or something. But when you do a mistake such as that one with a lineup like this that Fighting Pandas are rolling, you just get punished and you can never recover, which is pretty much what happened. It's much easier for EHome to execute, and they executed pretty damn well.
10th pick hero in the series. Not doing too hot. He had the Clinks the first game, and now you had Huskar this game too. So we'll see who gets and what that 10th pick hero ends up being in the final game of the series. But either way, we got a game 3, and that's the exciting part. Here as a spectator, as a fan, always hope for more Dota. And that's what we're getting here for the MDL Majors. So ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. I'm Breaky CPK, joined by Lizard. We got Fighting Pandas versus EHome going to a game 3 Group A action. We'll be right back.